All right, I'm going to try to keep this video unedited, perhaps just some cuts here and there, but it's highly unscripted. I just dropped the last packet for this year at the post office, and I said to myself, this is the best thing I can actually do right now to come back to the warehouse, sit down here and reflect on how this year has been. Today is the 23rd, day of December 2025. The year is gradually rolling to an end. The reselling year 2025 is gradually coming to an end. I am excited. I'm grateful for the opportunity I've had to be able to do all what I did this year. In case you are joining me for the first time, I sell used computers on eBay and on my website, monitors, laptops, everything in between, and I do them for profit. And I make videos about them, trying to motivate you all, to give you some inspiration that this is something that you can actually do if you decide to put in the work. But then this video is not about me flipping stuff for profit. It's just about me sitting here for the next, 8, 9, 10 minutes, talking about how this year has been for my business and every other thing that's in between, and how we're going to be looking up to the next year, trying to do the things that we did even much better, and in places where we already did very good, to keep the process on rinse and repeat. Pretty much what I'm going to be discussing about. Yes, 2025, one beautiful year, like I said, started on a very, very quiet note. If I remember correctly, I was still in Poland when the first order came in. As soon as it came, I was excited because I said to myself, it has begun. Now we are going to put everything pretty much on rinse and repeat. Exactly what we did. One order after the other. Every order that came, I am proud to say that everything was processed. As of today, there is no order hanging on my eBay shop. As a matter of fact, my eBay shop is already on holiday mode because I felt like I deserve to take these 2 weeks off just to rest, re-strategize for the new year. Of course, orders can still come into my shop because one thing I noticed, this year that's running to an end, is that each time I put my shop on holiday mode and I prevent orders from coming in, whenever I come back, it's always a difficult thing to get traffic to the shop. Things kind of get so slow. So what I normally do now is, even if my shop is on holiday mode, I still allow sales to be able to come in up to 15 days, and when I come back from holiday, I can just go ahead and process them. So pretty much what I did. Of course, this year was one beautiful year. See, I didn't do a lot of tests on my shop. Last year was pretty much what I did. You see, set up a system that has proven to be very, very effective. Every order that came into my shop this year was actually because of the system I put in place last year. And this year, I didn't see the need for me to begin to change things again, because the system I have put in place, system for sourcing items, system for processing the items as soon as they come to the shop, system for packaging and sending out the items have pretty much been put on autopilot. And the system for even making these YouTube videos, everything was kind of very, very good. So because of that, I wasn't really running a lot of tests. I just kind of left things the way they are to see. But there were some few areas where I still noticed that things could be better. Definitely in the new year, we're going to be coming to that, making sure that every process, every system is kind of airtight to be able to cope with the challenges. Of course, we also had some challenges with sourcing for inventories, not directly because of my own processes, but because suppliers had some problems here and there. Inventories are not coming the way they should. Even right now, if you have been following the trend, you can pretty much, relate to the fact that, hard drives, RAM sticks are still very, very difficult to get right now. Because of that, towards the first week of November this year, things were a little bit broken. Like I said, not because of my own processes. When the suppliers are having difficulties getting products, there's pretty much nothing you can do but to, either wait it out or, change your strategy. But in my own case, I have decided to wait it out to see how things goes next year. And if by the end of January, things are not getting to normal, we might begin to think of, changing the whole process, altogether. It's not just something that affects only my shop as an IT hardware reseller. It affects pretty much every competitor on the platform, on eBay, on Amazon, name it, Facebook Marketplace. The list goes on and on and on. But then I am satisfied with how things went this year. You see, one thing I did make sure to do was that every order that came to my shop this year was processed and sent out. You see, I'm not going to say that everybody was satisfied. Come to think of it, you really cannot satisfy everybody that comes to your shop. It's just not possible. There's just going to be that one, that two disgruntled seller that's going to have a sour taste. It is what it is. But I did do my best to ensure that everybody that came to my shop left with a very good experience. And most of them came, they left me positive reviews. I didn't get a negative review, if I remember correctly, but I did get 1 or 2 neutral reviews, which I did contest. I'm not so sure if it was removed, but like I said, overall, I am happy because the people that came to my shop had a very, very good experience. Every item was sent out. This is 1 year I can really tell you for free that I didn't record any incidents of missing packages. Some years were worse, getting like 5, 6, up to 10 packages missing in transit. This wasn't actually a thing this year. And one other beautiful thing about this year was that, look, I didn't really get a lot of, shipments, being lost in the air, delayed for 5, 6, 7 days. Everything that was sent out with a tracking number actually did arrive safely. I just got one request of a buyer saying that he didn't receive his packet, but then I went ahead to process it and checked. The packet was actually delivered. It wasn't a fault of mine, but, from the buyer. So what I'm trying to say is that everything went as peacefully as it can ever be. One beautiful year, of course. Technologically wise, there were challenges here and there. There were times the eBay platform wasn't doing its job the way it's supposed to be. But I'm also going to say that overall, this is one good year on the platform. We didn't record situations where I had to, make videos over and again, complaining on the fact that things were not selling. Perhaps here and there, I could have just commented on a particular video saying that things are kind of down, things are not selling. But overall, eBay did a great job. eBay did its best to ensure that every offer that was listed on the platform, got traffic, got potential people taking a look at it. Because come to think of it, impression is all that matters. If people are not looking at your offer, nobody is going to buy, that item. eBay did its job. I'm not going to lie. They brought, buyers from far and wide. I sent out items to other European countries, not just within Germany, to Italy, to Spain, to Belgium, to Malta, more to Italy, different European countries. And without even having, problems doing that. There was just one transaction that I will still not forget because it was a transaction. I needed to also, push back a little bit because sometimes if you just want to be cool with the buyers, they're going to be taking you all the time for granted. This particular transaction, I wanted to also show the buyer that, look, I understand what I'm doing here. I am rendering a very, major service, and there are terms and conditions regarding this transaction. It was kind of a back and front transaction, but at the end of the day, buyer got his money. I got my goods, even though it did leave a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth, but I kept on. I've since chewed it up and have moved on, because if you are thinking of having a business where you're going to have everything at a platter of gold, where nothing kind of annoys you, reselling might not be for you. In this game, there are times where things are going to make you very, very upset. You might not be, happy at the way some buyers would treat you. At other times, you might not even be happy with the way things are going. Sometimes you are trying to put in a lot of effort, but the returns on the effort, you pretty much cannot see them. But I'm telling you from my experience, at other times, you are also going to be balling. You're going to be feeling pumped up. You are going to be highly motivated because of the way things are going. This is the reason why you hear people say sometimes reselling could be a roller coaster. And truth be said, it is a roller coaster. This year, like I said, has been one beautiful year. Things pretty much was chill, even though there were ups and downs, roller coasters coming, pressure coming from the right, left, and center, distractions also coming in between. But at the end of the day, I am grateful for how things have gone. And in between, I did change my apartment. That was a very, very, tedious month for me. Between September and November, it was extremely tedious because I was combining, changing my apartment, moving with my wife and 2 kids, and also leaving my reselling business open. I didn't want to shut it up because I felt like November was one good time for me to kind of open my windows to potential buyers. But at the end of the day, I don't know, it was kind of a decision that really stressed me out because I was moving, I was shipping out packages, coming back from the shop to move. And at the end of the day, I was pretty much knocked out. When the movement was over, I was so happy. I felt it physically. I felt like, yes, I really did something that was kind of hard. But then my shop also felt it because I wasn't listing a lot of items. But it is what it is. It's over now, and hopefully in the new year, we're going to be able to, even do more things, put in more effort into the shop. The systems that we have developed that have proven to work, try to hold on to it and keep putting it on rinse and repeat. And for those systems where I kind of felt like things could have been done better, sometimes, shipping out my items, I saw that there were areas I could actually go ahead and improve things that we are going to be, taking a look at. But then how will reselling be in the new year? I'm talking about 2026 from January. I'm kind of imagining that a lot of people are going to give up on this game because, truth be said, things have become a little bit more complicated. The way reselling is done right now, it has become a game that you can no longer, play simply having, kid gloves. Things have become, more difficult to find. Good inventories are becoming more and more difficult. And the whole reselling itself is taking so much time these days. So from the buyer side, buyers are becoming also very, very careful how they spend money. The events of the past few months have pretty much shown to us that, look, people, even in employment, still are feeling the heat because the income level is not just enough or is not catching up fast enough with the expenses, the rising cost of goods. Things are getting expensive, and worse enough, people are even losing their jobs. And because of that, people are not so sure, the AI thing, we keep hearing that AI is coming to take over jobs. People are just being careful, trying to buy only those things that are really, really important to their lives. People are not just, spending. I want to imagine that for the first quarter of the year, sales are going to be pretty much down because people just have a kind of, sentiment right now to spending money. People want to keep their money and observe and see where this whole AI thing is going to lead us to. It's going to lead to more job loss. It's going to lead to, a boom in the economy, which I wouldn't know myself, but then this is just what it is. So I want to imagine that a lot of people might be forced, not because they hate reselling, but just because they might want to have a more, secure source of income. Some people might be forced out, take up a full-time employment. Some people might be forced out even to take up part-time jobs because at the end of the day, everybody wants some kind of stability or the other. If you have been doing reselling full-time, you might be pretty much used to the roller coaster that goes with it. Today, you have some money. Tomorrow, you are looking for where to get the next paycheck. If this is your situation, please go ahead in the comment section and comment because I can relate to it as well. But then I imagine that because transactions might be a little bit low in the beginning of the year, people might want to think of a more secure, method of making money. I'm not going to say that reselling is not a good way to make money, but sometimes stability is something that you also have to put on the table because if you factor that out, it might be a source of friction between you and your wife, between you and your kids, you and your parents. Because if you get a check and you cannot pay it, you know how the story goes. You keep getting reminders, and before you know it, you are already owing debts, and people are tired of living this kind of life. And of course, I understand it. So it's not a bad thing if you decide, see, I want to get a job that will give me a little bit more stability while I also do, reselling on the side. And then I want to imagine that this new year, we're going to be seeing a lot of technological, advancement, especially as regards AI. We're going to be seeing more AI stuff on the platform. Listing tools are going to be developed. Even on platform, not third-party tools now, the platforms are going to say to themselves, look, we're not going to wait for the third-party tools to take away all our customers. We are going to develop everything our sellers need to stay on platform. On this YouTube, if you are a content creator, you can pretty much tell that YouTube is already doing a lot to ensure that you do not have to pay for a third-party, software just to use certain features. Now, YouTube is giving creators all these features for free. A/B testing, video editing tools and stuff like that. This is what they are bringing. I want to imagine that the e-commerce platforms are going to follow suit. eBay is already extending, video sales to Germany. My account has not been approved to do that, but I'm aware that people are already making, live videos, showcasing what they have. This is something that we are going to be seeing, much of. Of course, even though there is a lot of, talk about the AI thing, the economy is going to be hit, people just are going to be lost. I'm telling you, there's still going to be a lot more opportunities this year. You only have to be careful, be smart to observe, see where the trend is going, and whenever you see an opportunity, growing or coming up, you want to attack fast because at the end of the day, the people that take advantage of the opportunities that come are the people that get in first. The people that came in first into this AI race were those that made a lot of money if you're doing it. Of course, there's going to be something new, definitely. Every year always comes a new technological advancement. You just have to be smart enough to observe, Be online. I'm not going to tell you now to stay away from social media because that's where the action is right now. That's where you can to hear what's new in the world, what's being developed, how you can benefit from something that's just popping off. And if you are smart enough to take advantage of whatever is going to be new, you might be among the lucky ones, smiling to the bank in the new year. Don't just lock yourself in your garage, in your warehouse, in your kitchen, just telling yourself, I'm a reseller. I don't want to be distracted with what's going on social media, because if anything is going to pop, I'm telling you, it's going to be amplified by social media. And sometimes when it gets to social media, I can tell you it's already late. Contact with people, visit communities, see what's happening on Reddit, join some groups on Facebook, on Instagram if you can, just to network with people and find out where the trend is going. Gone are the days where you have to be in isolation doing your reselling business. The more you can go out there and network with people, you might be increasing the opportunity of you coming in contact with a very, very good opportunity. I'm talking about an opportunity that can actually change your life, change your reselling business for the better. Don't just lock yourself up. Let this year, the new year, be a year where you go out, reach out to people, write people on YouTube. If you have questions for me, you see what I do and you feel like it's something you want to try out, go ahead, reach out to me. I will be glad to, respond to you. Of course, we're going to be seeing also people, trying to come to the platform, because for those that have lost their jobs now, I want to imagine that in the meantime, before they get a new job, one easy business that a lot of people tend to consider in a time like this is to go into reselling. They look around their house, they see that they have 2 laptops, they see that they have 2 monitors, they do not have money, so the next thing they think of is to go ahead and sell some of their things. So at the end of the day, we're going to be seeing, private individuals actually coming to the platform to also, test out the reselling thing. Competition is going to also be at an all-time high. We're going to be seeing automated systems for listing inventories, deactivating inventories, automated systems for even generating, product pictures. Everything's going to be happening. And I cannot imagine that it's going to be an interesting year. Keep your fingers crossed. And if you know anything that's going to be popping off, please do not forget to let your boy in the know. Definitely from my side, if I see what's going on, where a trend is heading, my community section is where I will normally go, and broadcast it. Of course, this is not the last video we're going to be making this year. We're still going to be talking about things that will possibly be of benefit to you. If you are not subscribed to the channel, I want to make a special call. Go ahead and be subscribed. Click on the like button on this video if you have found value in it. Until I see you again in the next one, peace.